Well, that's not going to work, is it? Welcome to Brighton SEO. My name's Kelvin Newman. We've got a really interesting day planned for you today. It's going to be an amazing SEO conference. It's not just an elaborate excuse for me to buy science fiction merchandise off the internet. So, what have we got planned? Well, we've got lots and lots of really practical, hands-on talks that are going to give you lots of things that you can add to your to-do list to take back to the office and help you do your job a little bit better. We're expecting 4,000 people from more than 50 different countries to make it along today, which is really impressive, and we're really proud of you all making the journey. So, how does it work? Well, the day is programmed into sessions. Sessions are usually groups of free talks, and you're going to want to choose those sessions and stay in the same place for the full duration of those. You can move from room to room, but between sessions rather than between talks. So have a great day, and welcome to the stage, your moderator.
Morning. How we doing, everybody? All right? Yeah. A little bit more than... It's bent. It's broken, sorry. So, welcome along to Brighton SEO. As I said, we've got a really interesting day planned for you. Just as interest, could you raise your hands if you're at Brighton SEO for the first time? Okay, quite a few of you. So, this is Auditorium 1. We've got lots of stages, lots of great speakers across all of those stages. How does it work? Well, we have three speakers, all kind of loosely on similar connected topics, and they're going to share some practical stuff with you as well. Some really helpful practical stuff. We're going to share all of the slides afterwards. This particular room is being live streamed on YouTube. Hello, the internet. So all the videos here will also be available to watch afterwards. And yeah, we've got a really interesting day planned for you. So, the hashtag is Brighton SEO. The Wi-Fi is Brighton Centre Wi-Fi. There's no password on that. If you've got a friend's wristband, you also have the VIP password. It should be in an email to you as well. So, I'll stop doing the boring intro stuff. You're all here to see our great speakers. So the first of those is one I'm really excited to see. Greg's a regular speaker for us. We like to bring lots of new speakers onto Brighton SEO, but we always invite Greg back because he always does a great job. And he's got a really interesting talk. He does it in a great way. I'm a big fan of Greg. I know a lot of you are big fans of Greg. If we could have a big round of applause for Greg, please.
Okay. How many people have not seen me speak before? Okay, don't try to take notes. I go real fucking fast. Also, this is a boring title slide for what we're talking about, which is Beetlejuice's Guide to Entities in the Future of SEO. So let's get the real title slide up. We're talking about entities today, and you can download the slides right now if you don't want to wait for later. Now, I speak at a lot of conferences. The important thing is I run the SEO agency called Wikimotive, and we do a lot of local SEO. So I've been doing actually local SEO for about 13 years. The really important thing here is to go to our blog on a weekly basis. I do a Tactical Tuesday video every week that's a short 3 to 5 minute video that's going to help you with SEO and local SEO and things like that. And like I said, I speak at conferences all over the world. This year I'm probably going to end up doing 25, 26 conferences, and I see a lot of really bad presenters, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too, and they stand behind the podium the whole time, and they kind of have their back to the crowd, and they just look at their slides and read their slides, and it's really boring. And most of the time, the slides are just a white background, and then it's black text and lots of bullet points. And I firmly believe that bullet points kill kittens. So today, we will be kitten safe. And obviously, we had the Beetlejuice joke. I'm a big fan of movies. I was a film major in college. I have a full sleeve of movie portrait tattoos, and my right leg is almost finished with my full sleeve of tattoos from the Goonies. So I always love to share my love of movies when I present and share my love of SEO. So since we're talking about entities today, today's movie theme is ghosts and entities. So we have 92 references to ghost and entity movies, including at least one movie for every year in the last 50 years. And I know there's going to be some stuff that maybe you guys haven't seen. So there's attribution to the side. So not only will you guys learn some cool stuff about the future of SEO, you're going to have a cool list of movies to watch. So are we ready? Why the long face? Are you guys here today because you need a hand trying to figure out what's coming in the future of SEO? Come on, that's funny, guys. If you don't prepare for the future and look ahead, you're going to get left out in the cold. And some of you, when you start thinking about the future, you freak out. I don't want you to lose your head. And I know you're thinking, okay, another really boring presentation about the future of SEO. I'm going to go hang myself. This stuff sucks. But today, I'm going to share a lot of stuff with you that's going to help you in the future be able to continually turn heads with your websites. You guys are not laughing at my jokes. This is a tough morning. So let's talk about entities. What is an entity? If we go to urbandictionary.com, Urban Dictionary says an entity is a being or a creature. We can also look at Google's definition. Google says it's a thing or a concept that is singular, unique, and well-defined and distinguishable. Now, most people, when they're talking entities, they think it has to be a person, a place, a thing. But an entity doesn't have to be a person or an object. An entity can be a date. An entity could be a color. An entity could be a time of day, a time of year. An entity can be an idea. And entities are actually the most important concept in SEO. And you guys have to really get this idea. Entities are literally the basis of everything we do in SEO. Every single task, every single tactic is all based in entities. So you guys want to get rich snippets or answer boxes? Yeah, those happen because of entities. Zero-click search is a big buzz lately, right? Zero-click search, yeah, that's because of entities too. You want to go build links? You can't build links unless you're an entity. How about reviews? You get reviews because you're an entity and you're getting them from other entities. Local search is a big deal. Local search has always been about entities. Now, in the old days, we all know, and some of you that are newer may just hear the stories about it, but Google used to just do keyword-to-keyword matching. Google was looking at the keyword in your search based on the keyword in the website and saying, okay, cool, these match. But it was only looking at patterns. It didn't really understand the meaning of the content on your site. So it was just a simple pattern matching program. Now, Google wanted to look ahead and say, you know, this isn't really the best way to do things, but we don't have the technology to figure out how to make this better yet. But they started laying the groundwork years ago. When they released the knowledge graph in 2012, that was when they started thinking, okay, we need to start looking at entities as a ranking signal instead of websites. And when they released the knowledge graph, they actually said this: we're moving from keywords towards knowledge of real-world entities and their relationships. So back in 2012, Google said we need to start looking at real-world signals instead of links and content and things like that. Then they released the Hummingbird update shortly thereafter, and that enabled conversational search. They started to understand semantics. And then you've got to really pay attention to Google patents. Whenever Google gets a patent, that's a clue as to the direction that they're going in the future and what they're thinking about, so that you can start being positive and being proactive in what you're going to do for your clients or for your own business, instead of being reactive and saying, oh, there was an algorithm update last week, what do we do now? So in 2015, they got a patent for ranking search results based on entity metrics. Then in 2016, a patent for answering questions using entity references and unstructured data. And then in 2018, they got a patent for a software update regarding related entities. And just about a month ago, they got a patent for local businesses and ranking local businesses based off of quality visit scores. So they're now trying to use real-world signals as a ranking factor instead of links and content. And Cindy Crum, if you haven't heard of Cindy Crum, she's amazing. She does awesome stuff with mobile SEO. And when the mobile-first algorithm came out, she wrote this really cool series of posts. And her theory is it wasn't really the mobile-first algorithm. It was Google switching to the entity-first algorithm. So go read that series of posts. It's really cool. The knowledge graph is really the entity graph. It's Google's understanding of entities and their connections. Machine learning has made this all possible. Machine learning, when it finally came about, that's when Google was like, oh shit, we can finally do this thing we've been wanting to do for years. Now, the knowledge graph, a lot of people think it's like an encyclopedia, but it's not. It's Google trying to continually use machine learning to figure out how entities are connected, both online and offline. So a way to think about this is, let's say your website is Google's knowledge graph. And within your website, how's it made up? It's made up of pages. Your pages are the individual entities of the knowledge graph. And the internal links that connect your pages are the relationships between those entities. So in other words, your content, the basis of everything we do, is made up of entities and relationships. And then language can connect entities too. So let's make up some sort of a, I don't know, really basic sentence. Something like, Greg's the best SEO. So if we break this down, Greg is an entity and best SEO is an entity, and is the relationship between Greg and the best SEO. And entities exist outside of language. This is the crazy thing. There's 1,000 different words for mother, but the concept of mother is a singular entity. So Google gives number IDs to the entities in its system so that it can look at entities outside of language. Because if you're trying to do entity-based search and Google has to worry about language too, it's much more difficult. So if Google can look at entities as entities outside of language, it's much faster and much more efficient. So what does this mean for the future of search? That's all basic stuff. How do we look forward? How do we use this knowledge to base what we're going to do in the future and be able to get more results for our potential clients? So ranking is going to be more about real-world signals. You're going to have to worry more about what happens in the real world instead of what tricks you're doing on your website. So stop worrying about the tricks. Things are coming full circle. Go back and do old-school real-world marketing. The things that businesses used to do before the internet are now the things that are going to become the signals that will get you to rank better on the internet. Voice search. Stop worrying about voice search. It's fucking just SEO, guys. It's all about, on voice search, Google trying to figure out the intent to figure out which entities to serve. And mobile search has really made local SEO blow up because mobile searches are inherently local. And guess what? Local search has always been entity-based from day one because you can rank in local search without a website. So local search, which I've been doing for years, is all about entities. So what you need to do is pay more attention to what's going on in local search, because that's where the rest of search is heading. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Stop worrying about writing content and keywords. You're not going to have to worry about that as much. It's going to be more about having the best answer and matching the intent of the searcher. It's not going to be, you got to optimize this little thing over here. Real world actions related to what you're doing are going to become ranking factors. And Google My Business now on mobile is blended. If you have a Google My Business listing, it's not all at the top of mobile search results. You have the business information and then a few search results and then reviews and then a few search results and then posts and then all these things blended up. So it's blurring the lines of your entity online. So stop concentrating on link building as the most important SEO tactic, because guess what? Links are always going to be important, but link building is not going to be the key anymore. It's going to be real world entity signals that matter. Stop concentrating so much on matching specific keywords. Stop thinking about, I've got to make this single page, and this single page is going to rank in Google. Even on an individual page, stop worrying about, I've got to tweak this little element over here so that I show up in Google. Google's getting smarter than that, you guys. That stuff isn't going to matter anymore. So you've got to write content that answers questions based on specific intent in a unique way. One of the most important things you need to do, and this is a tip that I always like to share, read your content out loud. Everything on your site needs to sound like something that you would say face-to-face to a customer. And when you read it out loud, you catch stuff that doesn't sound natural. We worked with a Ford dealership in Dallas, Texas a few years ago. And when we started with them, their homepage content said something to the effect of, if you want to buy a Ford pickup in Dallas, come to our Ford pickup headquarters in Dallas because we sell more Ford pickups than any other dealership in Dallas that sells Ford pickups. So when you're ready to buy your Ford pickup, come down to our Ford pickup headquarters. Now the guy that wrote that was like, holy shit, boss, we're going to show up for Ford pickups. But every human that went to their site was like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? When you read that stuff out loud, that's when you start to catch, hey, this doesn't really sound like the way I would really talk in the real world. So in the future, let's say you want to rank for widgets. Google is already going to understand everything about the entity of widgets and their relationship to businesses in the real world before you even start to try to do anything with your website. So you need to build your entity and pay attention to how you're connected in the real world to other entities related to those widgets. Think about it like all the conference speeches you've seen over the last few years that talk about targeting rich snippets. Like, hey, this guy's got an answer, just come in and write a better answer. That's going to be the secret moving forward. It's not about keywords, it's not about links, it's about having the best answer in a conversational format. And local SEO, like I said, watch what's going on in local. It's going to be the key to success in the future. Links from local businesses that have jack squat to do with the business have helped in local SEO for years. I go out and get links from businesses that have absolutely nothing to do with the vertical that I'm working with, but those links still matter in the algorithm because those are real-world signals of entity connections. So that's the sort of stuff that you guys need to start thinking about. Local content on a website that has nothing to do with what that business sells for years has helped that website rank better in local searches. Because again, it's about real-world entity connections. And Google My Business is massively important. Any business that has a physical location or that serves customers in an area should have a Google My Business. And guess what? Your Google My Business is a direct interface with Google's database entry about your entity. You're able to feed additional info to Google about your entity. This is massively important. So it's not just about your name and your address and your website. You can upload photos, and you need to upload high-quality photos. Because guess what? Since it's a real-world entity signal, anybody in the world can upload photos of your business too. So you need to pay attention and upload higher quality, more professional photos so it's more likely to be surfaced in Google search so that you can control what other people see your entity as. So you've got to pay attention to these things. Directions are important because if someone clicks on that directions link, that's telling Google, hey, someone in the real world is actually going to go here. It's a real-world signal of interaction with your entity. Sorry, I missed the click there. You've got to be paying attention to how things connect. Customer reviews, like I said earlier, there are other entities talking about your entity. So you want to encourage reviews from power users. Someone that uses Google a lot, that's an expert in that sort of thing, like a food critic reviewing a restaurant is going to count so much more than just Joe Public leaving a review for that restaurant. You should be using Google Posts. Google Posts is a free kind of advertising platform where you get a little thumbnail image and some text, and it shows up in your knowledge panel. Again, that's information about your entity. These are surfaced in organic search sometimes. It's stuff that you could tell Google that's additional info about your entity. It shows on desktop or on mobile. So on desktop, it looks like this, where it's a little thumbnail at the bottom. You click on it, and it grays out the rest of the search results, and you get the big post with up to 1,500 words. On mobile, it's just mixed in with the search results. It should be promotional offers so that you're enticing more interaction with your entity because these people haven't been to your website yet. Now, think about it like AdWords or display ads. What's in that little thumbnail is key to success. So you have to optimize the available text, and you have to have a really awesome image. But unfortunately, Google really sucks at image cropping, and it's really wonky, and stuff gets cropped out weird all the time. So this is a Photoshop document that we created that's a guide that will show you a safe zone. It looks like this. So that white grid is on a different layer, and you pop it into Photoshop, and anything within that white grid, you're guaranteed not to get cropped off. So that way you can control what shows up. You should also be paying attention to the most important entity feature of Google My Business, which is the new questions and answers section. This is a community discussion feature. It's not a messaging system for the business. Anybody in the community can ask a question to your business, and anyone can answer that question for you. This is user-generated content about your entity online. It shows up like this, questions and answers, and you can click to see the questions and answers. But if a question gets 3 thumbs up, 3 upvotes, that question appears natively in your knowledge panel. So instead of looking like this where it says questions and answers, it shows like this, and this is for Stonehenge. It's super funny. For the people in the back that can't read it, the question is, what was Stonehenge used for? What was its purpose? The answer, it's an ancient roundabout. It didn't get used much as cars weren't invented back then. Which that's funny, but do you guys really think that Stonehenge, as a national monument, wants to have that as the first impression of its entity for the rest of the world that's looking it up? Probably not. Answers also work on an upvote system because you can have multiple answers to a question. So the answer that has the most upvotes shows as the primary answer. This provides more information about your entity. Now, the really cool thing is you can upload your own questions. You can set up a pre-site FAQ page, upload your own questions, and answer your questions. And you're feeding direct information to Google about your entity. And on mobile, if someone goes in and starts to type in a question, Google is now auto-suggesting answers based on past questions and answers that have been in there. And it's incredibly likely that these questions and answers are going to start being used as voice search answers about your business. Because if someone asks a voice search query that matches a question that's been asked, hey, the business answered this question, here's the answer. Additional information you're feeding to Google about your entity. And I've got about 2 minutes left. You guys want to see some fun shit here at the end? Yes? If not, I can leave and we can jump ahead. Okay, cool. So here's some fun examples of this question and answer stuff. We see this all the time. Even though the button to ask a question is right by the phone number, people are like, hey man, what's your phone number? Dude, it's 1 inch from the button that you just clicked. Or you could click my website and get my phone number, but you know what? Most of the people aren't going to do that. And most of the times happens it's a sales opportunity for your business. And look at that, no answer. This was an overheating engine. The guy could have made $500 or $600 minimum doing the service on this car, but he didn't answer. Or we see stuff like this. Hey, man, your website sucks. And the answer, yeah, I'm not a fan either. We laugh, but that's probably not a good entity signal about that business or that website. And this one was fun. I was doing this for some car dealers in Austin, and I always try to pick local examples. And this one, you know, hey, does this guy have a body shop? And it's like, don't go here. They screw you over. Look at the reviews. They lie to you. And then afterwards, the guy came up to me, and he's like, hey, man, I work at that dealership. What do I do? Now, notice there's 6 answers there. They answered a question. When the business owner answers the question, which is the entity signal we all want, it says owner, and their answer is much better. But their answer doesn't have a thumbs up, and this one did. So we just grabbed 3 people in the front row and said, hey, man, will you guys go like this? And boom, immediately now this is what shows as the primary answer. So they can control what's showing about their entity. And then I did Search Love Boston last year, and I was trying to look up local examples, and I found this gem about the hotel. Hey, how are the room numbers ordered? And this jackhole says alphabetically. Look at his picture, too. He's a smug son of a bitch that's really proud of that answer. But again, that's not a great entity signal. And then this is my absolute favorite. I've looked at these all over the world. This is the best one, and it's actually from the UK. This one's for the London Eye, which you guys all know is the big Ferris wheel on the Thames. And for the people in the back that can't read, the question is, do you have to wear a helmet? And the answer is, you don't have to, but you can if you wish. I believe Viking helmets are a popular choice. And again, we laugh, but I guarantee you Coca-Cola, that has branded the London Eye, probably doesn't think that's the best interpretation of their entity online. So you've got to pay attention to the information that you're feeding to Google about your entity. And now that you guys have all of these tips about the future of SEO, you're not going to be a basket case when you think about what's coming, because I've given you guys the keys to success. So now you know how to use entities as your hook so that you can break out of your shell and do better marketing. Get it? Come on. Don't say, oh, that's funny. And now we're all going to be super excited about the future of SEO. That's the end. Thank you. Also, if you download the slides at the end, oh, he took it away. Can you put it back on for 1 second? The movies are all at the end, so you have a cool list of stuff to watch. See you guys.